The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys!
This is Cowboys Storylines with Nick Eatman.
Welcome to Cowboys Storyline. I am Nick Eatman here, and just me again. We had Nate Newton for a couple of days. We had the shuffling of the podcast lineups the last couple of times we were here, Wednesday and Monday. But now we are kind of back to normal. It's a day off for the players, as they've had a whole bye week, and now they're back Monday, and now they have their regular day off. Now they get back into schedule again as they get prepared for the LA Rams this Sunday at noon. It's kind of weird to play a noon game. Haven't had many of them in a while. But we do have a noon game at AT&T Stadium on Sunday against the Rams, and that'll be interesting to see if the Cowboys can get to 5-2. All right. You know how it works. Give us a call, 888-855-2297. That's the phone line. The text line is 817-290-3298. We'll get some text messages as well. But I want to hear from you guys. Want to hear what you had to say. I think it was a good couple of days to have Nate in here. He obviously provides a different perspective than I could ever bring. And it's funny how it always goes back to that offensive line, which many people say it doesn't matter if you've played in the league at offensive line or not. That's where it kind of starts. It starts in the trenches, and with Big Nate, it always doesn't, and rightfully so. I mean, when you think about when that offensive line is pushing and creating holes and giving Dak or any quarterback time, it can set the tone for the entire game, even the entire season, because it can kind of bring the attitude that you want for that offensive line. So that's where the Cowboys need to work on that here with their bye week. Let's see if they can get things together on that offensive line, because I know he's not maybe the same as he was a few years ago, but Aaron Donald's still Aaron Donald, and he's still a guy to deal with. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some things Jerry Jones said on 105.3 The Fan. He basically doesn't sound like he's interested in initiating any trades, the trade deadlines here in the next week or so, but they're always going to listen if something opens. I think that they do feel like they like the roster as is, but if something materializes, I believe they said the same thing, and then they traded for Amari Cooper. So it always happens. You're not really gung-ho about getting someone, but you're going to be paying attention if a guy is available that can help the team right now and maybe help the team in the future. All right, let's go to the lines. Let's get right to it here. Michael in California. Michael, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, Nick? Hey, good morning, everybody, and shout out to the whole Cowboys Nation. I'm out here in beautiful Colton, California, but I just want to get right to it, Nick. Hey, I just want to say I listened to that radio interview this morning with Jerry Jones, and I was a little irritated with it. I think that it's a classic case of the rich keep getting richer. And what I mean to that is all the good teams, that are contenders and all that, you see them making these power moves and acquiring more talent, and it seems like it don't stop. It's like they require one, and they just keep on acquiring more, Yeah. I think Jerry Jones, it seems like, how I remember Brian Broaddus always saying, don't fall in love with your roster. Always, it's a business decision. You got to separate the feelings in this business,
Yeah,
I know Jerry Jones is a smart man. Obviously, he brought us 3 titles, But I mean, man, I'm just getting really frustrated here,
Well, what would you want to do? I mean, what would be a move that you would like to make?
Yes, sir. If you would ask me, there's 2 moves that I would like to make. Obviously, our running game is not the business right now. So what I would like to see is that running back Javonte Williams. I think I may have the first name wrong, but Williams from Denver. I would like to go pick him up, and also that defensive tackle from Washington, who had a whole lot to say about losing for 7 years. Come on over to Dallas, baby, and let's go to the playoffs and make it happen. That's what I would say. Those are 2 big moves right there. Let's see, I would say it would cost us 2 third-round picks to go get that running back Williams from Denver, and hey, maybe a first-round pick for the defensive tackle in Washington. If you ask me, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. That's doable, you know?
All right. Okay. All right. Well, I like it. You know, you can say that kind of stuff. That's why I say it all the time. It's a fan show. You guys can say that kind of stuff. I probably, with guys under contract, I'll kind of shy away from that. But I'll say this. It's going to take more to get anybody from Washington than it would if, let's say, the Bengals were calling Washington. It's just going to take more. They're not going to trade within the division. They're not going to trade anybody within the division unless they're getting absolute top dollar, and maybe it's got to be way more than what anyone else is getting, and I don't blame them for that. So I don't see those moves happening. I don't see the Cowboys going and trading a first round pick for anybody unless it is somebody that they could sign long term, and maybe somebody they've had their eyes on and said, hey, we want this guy. And we'll sign him, for a few years down the road. But, I'm not sure that I'm with you on a bigger back. I don't know if that's the problem, though. I really don't. I think the problem with the running game is probably the offensive line. I think Rico Dowdle can run the ball well if you give him the opportunities. I don't think it's necessarily a running back issue. Not to say that I wouldn't entertain that if something was open, and only because of the fact that you've got Tony Pollard on a 1-year franchise deal, and he probably won't, I'm not saying he won't be back, but we'll see. We'll see. It's obviously going to have to be a new contract. So you've got some situation at running back that for the future looks a little cloudy. So if there's a situation you could get, as long as it makes sense long term. All right, let's go to another call. Aaron in Youngstown, Ohio. Aaron.
Hey, what's going on, Nick? Been listening to every show for 10 years and finally was able to get through. So great to talk to you.
Thanks, Aaron.
So my question kind of wanted to touch on the trade deadline coming up because, obviously the Eagles make a move and then everybody just loses their mind, yelling at Jerry saying that he never wants to do anything, never wants to improve the team. Yet everyone forgets that they just made 2 trades in the offseason that they never do. But since they didn't do it in the season, it doesn't count as trying to improve your team. And then everybody also forgets that we did just sign Rashaan Evans. He started 17 games last year, had 160 tackles and 2.5 sacks with the Falcons. And if we would have traded for him, would everybody look at that as an improvement? But since he was just a claim to the practice squad, does that just not move the needle? Even though, he's only 27 years old, so obviously he's going to be able to make some type of impact. So just never really understood why whenever the Eagles make a move, everybody always jumps on the Cowboys acting like they never do anything whenever they forget that they've been trading for people the last 2 years that they never do, claiming people to the practice squad of positions of need, but everybody just ignores that aspect. So just wanted you to touch on that a little bit and then had an old-timer point for you of who – for this defense right now, which linebacker do you think would be a better fit, Dexter Coakley or Dat Wynn? And I'll hang up and listen. Thanks for everything you do, Nick.
Thanks, Aaron. I'm going to put a star by your name. Great call. I really appreciate that perspective because it not every fan has it. And we just had back-to-back calls here. No offense to the first call, Michael. I get it. You can be frustrated. I understand that. But it's nice to follow that up with another call. A little bit of more voice of reason of and while that first call was going on, I was kind of thinking that about the trades. I'm glad I didn't say it because I would have stolen the Aaron's point. But yeah, they've made trades in the offseason. They did some things. Okay, so they're not doing it right now, or at least they haven't yet. But this team doesn't stand back and they don't do, not with McCarthy here. Like with you look at what they did last year. They added a lot of pieces, and they continue to do that. This team has added 3 former first round picks since the start of the season. Now, if that's not exciting to you, that's fine. I mean, they're obviously on the street or available for a reason, but they went out and they traded for Trey Lance for a guy that they could develop and maybe down the road and Noah Igbenogany. I hadn't said that in a while, so I think that's still right. Igbenogany. Who scored your first touchdown of the season, and he hasn't contributed a whole lot, and I get that, and now Rashaan Evans as well. So, and you go back to last year, they were doing it as well when opportunities came up to get players, that are getting names, and the Eagles got what, Kevin Byard, is that his name? I mean, like. That's a Pro Bowl safety. It's a guy that you've heard, and they went and they traded a couple of picks down the road to go do that. Don't act like the Cowboys don't do that. They've done that as well. They did it. They've done it this year. They've done it last year. They got Anthony Barr. They got Jason Peters. They got was it Rhodes from is that Xavier Rhodes? The corner from Minnesota. So they get names and situations as well. So it's not like they don't do that. For the linebacker that would help this team, Coakley or Dat Win. Well, I mean, they're both some pretty good playmakers, but I like the speed. I like a guy that can go and go get the football too as well. So Dexter Coakley would be my guy. I like both of them, though. They both were really good players. And what I love the most about those two is that when Bill Parcells got here, he looked at both of them and said, "This ain't gonna work. I'm sorry, it's not what I'm used to. These two guys are not gonna fit for me." And Mike Zimmer and the other defensive coaches said, "Coach, just hold on a little bit. Just wait. Just watch them play." And then by the halfway through the year, he loved both of them, and he was wrong. He admitted that. And, so it's not always the size of the player, or also what you're used to as well. So I love that. All right, Curtis in Oklahoma is our next call. Curtis, what's up?
Hey, thanks again for having me.
Sure, man. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you. How are you?
Good.
Two things I wanted to talk about is we talk a lot about the red zone struggles, so I wanted to highlight a little red zone success, and that was the pass to Brandon Cooks. Dak Prescott does like a 15-step drop and throws like a fadeaway jumper, and you don't really see that kind of drop like that very often, so I wanted to know if you thought that was by design. And then the other thing that I wanted to say is there's been some talk about our offensive line struggling a little bit. And, aside from health, I also think if you look around the evolution of the league the last, 5 to 8 years, something like that, I just think there's so many defensive athletes out there. Micah Parsons, Bosa, heck, Khalil Mack had 6 sacks, the week before we played the Chargers. And then you got, hybrid guys like Micah Parsons and things like that. So I just wanted to point that out when you think about the line and give them a little more time to deal with all that.
All right. Thanks for the call. You're right. They're dynamic defensive players. I think you could argue that there's always been those type of guys. I mean, there's always generational players at defense. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll go with you on that. I mean, yes, there's great players that you have to scheme and you have to block. I think though when you put a lot of assets on the offensive line, the way the Cowboys have, and a lot of money's on this offensive line, and to not be able to run the football. I mean, yeah, it's one thing to stop Bosa and Mack, or for someone to stop Micah Parsons, but you have to be able to run the football as well, move these guys out of the way, get it schemed, get it blocked, and we haven't seen that with consistency, and the fact that that's kind of the type of team that they've built around. So they want to have that kind of identity. It hasn't happened yet, and I think that's where kind of the concern is. Going back to your red zone question on Dak with that 15-step drop, fadeaway jumper. If that was the case, I mean, Tony Pollard's down there, setting a pick, if you will. Really nice block to not only give him some time, but you got to remember how that play developed. Cooks was on the right side, maybe in the slot, but he had to kind of work his way through all the trash, get all the way across the field, and that's what Dak was backing up, and giving him time to clear out and make that throw. I thought it was a great throw. I thought it was a great block by Pollard. And I thought it was a great job by Cooks kind of, if you go back and watch it, he kind of jumps in the air, and it's sort of a basketball type of play as well, because he jumps in the air with a defender on his back, knowing that he's gonna kind of, basically pin him back here and then go make the catch. Not allowing the corner to go get the ball. If he is, he's going to have to run right through him or go over his back, which will probably be a penalty. So it was a really crafty type catch by Cooks. A really nice throw and patience by everybody, and a good block. So you're right. It was a good time to talk about that red zone touchdown there. All right, let me get a text question here. This is Dan from Philly. He says, as the trade deadline approaches, I'd like to see the Cowboys address the following positions. Number, running back, a quality starter to take the load. Cornerback, a boundary corner that can compete for the cornerback 3 spot as insurance for Bland and Gilmore. And a middle linebacker, Leighton type. Your thoughts? I don't know if you're getting all that in the trade deadline or any of it, really. I don't believe that they think that they're going to get a running back to take the load. But I understand why you're saying that, because I do think Tony Pollard is better in the other role than he is in this one. So I certainly believe that. I think that's what they tried to get Igbenogany to do, was to be that corner for insurance, and then Diggs got hurt. So, but we haven't seen it. Jordan Lewis has been back, and so far we hadn't had to see them play a whole lot. And they're hoping Nahshon Wright can factor into that mix as well. And then middle linebacker. Well, I mean, they're going to get Rashaan Evans. That's probably as close as you're going to get there for that. All right, Landon in New Mexico is our next caller. Landon, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I've been listening to you since 2006. You're my favorite out of everybody there. So
awesome.
Love your stuff, Nate.
In your face to everyone else. Thank you.
But anyways, I mean, about the trade stuff, I mean, I don't really see like one glaring weakness on the team other than the offensive line. And I mean, we're not going to be able to trade for, anything of worth really on the offensive line, probably anything better than our backups. So,
right.
I mean, I don't know why people think that, they want to make a splash play. What the Eagles did is completely different than our situation. They don't really have any weaknesses other than the safety. And then they traded for an all-pro. I mean, between what the caller said earlier about why people are upset about what the Eagles are doing, I mean, that's an all-pro player compared to, Brandon Cooks and Gilmore's an all-pro, but I mean, it's been a while since he's been an all-pro.
And I don't know this. I don't know that. Maybe you do. Is Kevin Baird, is he still at an all-pro level?
And I don't know that either, really. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about Baird other than what's been talked about today on the shows. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, that's just what that's what the other shows were saying. So, but I mean, other than that, I mean, I don't know that either. But I'm saying they had one weakness pretty much. I mean, their offensive line is great. Their offense, they don't have any weaknesses on their offense, and the defense their cornerbacks are good, and that's pretty much their only weakness. I mean, the Cowboys have some areas like maybe people point to the linebacker, or people point to cornerback now that Diggs is down, or they point to the O-line or running back. I mean, I think Pollard and Rico can be fine if the line can block for them.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree with that.
I mean, I don't know what else we can trade. I mean, if people want to talk about trades for depth in some certain places, then I mean, that's fine. But I mean, as far as like trading a bunch of draft capital away for one player that you think is going to come in and get us to the Super Bowl, I just don't see that right now on this team.
I agree with that. Thanks for the call, Landon. And you're right. And it's not easy to accept that because your team is 4-2. There's teams that have better records, and Eagles being one of them. And so you want to look back and go, okay, well, what are we doing? Why can't we do that? And knowing that if you look at that specific move, maybe the Titans called the Cowboys and asked them that, and you wouldn't do that move. You've already done that. You've already signed a veteran safety, and two of them actually in the last 8 months. I mean, you've signed Donovan Wilson, who's younger, and you've also signed Malik Hooker, which I also believe is younger. I mean, Chris just told me right now, Kevin Baird's 30 years old. That's not ancient by you can still go make plays, but they've done that, and so if the Titans had called the Cowboys and said, "What do you think about this?" you wouldn't have done it. I mean, so that's the issue. Now maybe they said, "You got anybody else? Got any other positions?" But they don't want to just give up draft capital just to do it. They've already done it. They've lost a 4th round pick to go get a quarterback in development. So he's not helping you this year, but they look at this farther than just down the road a little bit. All right, Steve in Newport, Washington. Steve.
Hello. How you doing?
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Good. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate the call.
Love your show.
I appreciate it.
I got 2 questions, totally unrelated to each other.
Cool.
First one is our draft class this year. Do you see any contribution this year going forward from them? What happened to Nazi Smith and any of the other draft picks? If we could see any contribution from them?
Yeah, that's that just reminded me. I think that was a mailbag question today that I haven't answered on that specifically. I don't know if you had another. I had another call. You still there, Steve?
Yes.
Yeah. What was your second question?
The second question is, why no number 0 on our team?
There will be. There will be. That's funny you asked that. I think there is going to be a number 0, and Jaron Kearse wanted it. He didn't get it. You might see another player get it next year. So you will. You'll see a number 0, but it's not right now, not this year. But I think you will see it next year, and it probably will be a really, really, really good player. So that's my guess. A really, really, really good player might move to the number 0 if he can afford it. All right. Your first question, though, I'm looking at the draft class again. I just wanted to remind myself about it. Yeah, this is not good for six games into the season. I mean, there's nobody that is producing at all. I mean, like that's you want to have a little silver lining here. Like, well, Awesome Richards and no, I mean like he's a 5th round pick. And he's insurance on the offensive line, sometimes active, sometimes not. If you just go down the list, though, Mozzie Smith has been active, but he's not really doing a whole lot. And the unfortunate thing for me is that there are times in the game. There was a 4th down with the Chargers just the other day. Ball's on the 2-yard line. 4th down, they could stop this game and probably win it. And and he's not in the game. And I would think that's a moment that you would be there, even if you're still learning. I would think you could play on goal line defense and have your strength show up and be a factor. So that's a little concerning. Schoonmaker's had some injuries. Your 2nd round pick, he's playing some. He'll get out there now with Hendershot banged up. I mean, Schoonmaker is continuing to play and get better. His hands haven't been as good as I thought, they would be. Overshown, that's just a bad luck. He was going to be a playmaker, I think, on this defense. Fehoko has not done anything. He's really inactive every game. Awesome Richards, like I said. Eric Scott's inactive. Deuce Vaughn's now not really a factor at all. Jalen Brooks has been active a little bit, but not really doing a whole lot. So yeah, that's it's just unfortunate. And then you look back to the year before where a lot of these guys were playing early. Tyler Smith was phenomenal. Sam Williams played a lot. Jake Ferguson, and then of course Deron Bland, which is one of your best picks in a long time. So it's early. It's early. I've seen it go the other way too. I've seen draft classes that you think, oh, this will be the best of all time. This will be a 1964 type of draft, and it doesn't turn out that way. So you got to give it time a little bit. But 6 games into the season, to have none of your draft picks really do anything is a concern. And they're going to say that it's not, but that they're disappointed that nobody's been able to really do a whole lot. All right, let's go to a break. real quick, the phone lines are open, 888-855-2297. Give us a call. Let's chat a little bit. And also a text line, 817-290-3298. We'll be right back on Cowboys Storyline.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Cowboys fans, after that move, we've just coined the term Rowdy Replay. Let's roll back the tape.
Okay, there's our mascot Rowdy cheering on the boys. And now he's on his phone, on his Bank of America mobile banking app?
Staying on top of his finances with his virtual financial assistant, Erica.
Bank of America's digital tools are so impressive. Cowboys fans just can't stop banking. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/can't-stop-banking.
Erica is only available in the English language. You must download the latest version of the mobile banking app, only available on select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. Member FDIC.
Welcome back into Dear Doctor, the show where I answer life's questions with an ice-cold can of Dr. Pepper. Sheila, let's hear from our next caller, would you?
Dear Doctor, my friend supported me during a tough time, but what's the right gift that says, thanks for being a shoulder to cry on?
Okay, this one's easy. I say give her a delicious Dr. Pepper. Nothing says, thanks, girl, better than a one-of-a-kind soda. Yes, any Dr. Pepper flavor will do. Now, just a reminder that I don't need to be a real doctor to know that Dr. Pepper is the one you deserve.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you. Back to Cowboys Storylines.
All right, back for Cowboys Storyline here. Got about 20 more minutes or so. We got some calls on the line, got some text questions as well. We're going to hit the phone line here. Eric in Southern California. Been holding a little bit. Eric, what's up, man?
Hey, Nick. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. So I had a question for you regarding like our offensive line. I know a lot of people say like that's a spot that the Cowboys need help with, and I get it, like the run game and all that. But when I look at our offensive line, like everyone that's in our line would be a starter or would be coveted by other teams, and which they had. So what needs to click for them to be producing the way that they used to, or
Yeah, that's a good point. You have another question?
No, that was it.
Okay, good question, Eric. And Nate was on yesterday and last week, and he would speak to this. It's really about the continuity, because you're right about that. When you look at the offensive line, you don't look at a spot and say, we'll get better there. I'm going to trade for something better than Steele. No, you just signed him. He's your right tackle. You're not going to get anyone better than Zach Martin. You're not going to get anyone better than Biadasz and Tyler Smith and then Tyron Smith. And I'm not saying you couldn't go acquire someone that's better than them, but just look at what you're paying them, the dynamic of everything. You're not going to do that. You're not. This is your line. These guys, and if you go and get another player, it's probably not going to be better than what you already have in Awesome Richards and Edoga and TJ Bass and those guys like that. So I just think they've got to play together. They've got to be a little bit more cohesive and use this time off, get healthy, and keep playing as a unit. It'll click. I mean, this is a first-year offensive line coach with the team. He's been around for several years, Mike Solari, but this is first year with this team. They're still working on things. They've been in and out of the lineup at training camp. Not giving excuses. I'm just saying it's got to get better with these guys. That's what it has to be. You're not going to go get outside talent. They've got to work together and figure out how to make this thing click. Because if they can, I think the running game will be better. And if that's the case, then that opens up everything else. So I think they'll be fine. But you're right. with offensive line, this is kind of what it is. You could probably go get a little, quality depth if that's what you want. Maybe a better tackle if you think, Tyron could have another injury or something like that. I could see you doing that, but for the most part, from your starting five, I mean, this is what it's supposed to be. All right, let's go to the text line here. This is from RDJ. He says, good point on caller number 2, which was Aaron in Youngstown, Ohio. He was talking about everybody, just don't forget that they have made a lot of moves before. But the text question says, good point, caller number 2. Please stop speaking for everyone when you speak on the phone. I respect your thoughts, but you really don't know what everybody's thinking about the Dallas Cowboys. True. And neither do you. I mean, let's be fair. I mean, you don't either. So that's kind of what you do. You get on the phone and you make a point and you point out things, which I think are true. I mean, I think it is something to point out that, just because you didn't make the move yesterday doesn't mean you haven't made moves. And that's kind of what this fan base has become. What have you done for me this morning? That's really what it comes down to. I mean, and so, I think it was a good call to point out that they have made some moves. This is their type of move. It didn't fit for them right now, but they do make moves like this. So don't be so short-sighted. But I don't agree with it. I don't think anyone's speaking for everyone. You're just throwing out some points and that's kind of what we do. And his point wasn't wrong, and neither is yours. It's just that we're all trying to do this together, and that's what this show is about. Is to throw out your stuff. So I don't think anyone's speaking for everyone, and I don't think he was, and but no one really knows what everybody's thinking. I mean, except for the fact that everybody wants to go and wants to win the Super Bowl. I mean, that's what they want, and and that's what Cowboy fans. Doesn't matter where you live. If you live in Virginia, you live in California, New Jersey. I mean, you want the Cowboys to win. If you live right here in Dallas, Texas, and Arlington, you want to win even more. I mean, especially when you see success that's happening right around them. I think everybody's excited here about the Texas Rangers that are now going to the World Series for the first time in 12 years. It's pretty awesome. I was really, really excited about it. But I also know that I haven't looked yet, but I will guarantee you I've got somebody on Twitter saying, well, at least somebody from Arlington can win a championship. I get it. I mean, that's what's going to happen. Good for the Rangers. Good for that. That'll be exciting news. But it only makes everybody a little bit more hungrier for this Cowboy team to go win. All right, let's go to the phones. Rob in New Jersey. Rob, what's up?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
All right. A long time listener, long time fan of you for years, especially back in the days when it was just you and Nick, you and Derek.
Me and Derek. That's right.
Yep.
That's way back.
Well, my question is this: you answered my question as far as the O-line. Everybody, you got it pinned down from a previous caller. You answered it. I'm happy for that. My second question is this: what is your evaluation of Gilmore after 6 games? What do you really think about him? I mean, I have my thoughts, but I'm just curious as to where you think he is. I mean, we got him.
Yeah.
He's here. We're hoping that things work out for the next 11 games. But what is your thoughts on it?
Did you just say Gilmore? Is that what you said?
Yeah, the cornerback. Yeah.
Stephon Gilmore. Okay, I'll just make sure I heard that right before we let you go. Thank you for the call, Rob. I think that Gilmore is a really good number 2 cornerback. That's what I think. That's exactly what they traded for him to be. He's a guy that's made plays, not afraid of the moment. He's on the back nine of his career, I think. I don't think he's on the 18th hole, but I do think he's had a great career, and he's still a really good player, serviceable player. The Cowboys went, and that was their move. That was their Kevin Byard type move. They just did it earlier on. 5th-round pick, I believe, traded for the Colts and got him to pair him up with Trayvon Diggs. Now Trayvon Diggs is out for the season, and he's got to be the guy, and Deron Bland as well, but both of them. And if he was still at that high level, you're not getting him for a 5th-round pick, and I don't think the Colts are letting him go. So, it's unfortunate. It's just he is probably playing exactly like you would want him to play for the role that they had him playing. But now, as the number one guy, he's gonna miss some. I mean, Keenan Allen is really good, and so is that beast in Philly there, A.J. Brown, and then you've got a Heisman Trophy winner, first round pick on the other side. That's the problem with what they're about to face. And you have to match playmakers. And when they faced a team that had a lot of them, like the 49ers, it was ugly. They just have no answer for it. So we'll see what happens when you face a team that has a lot more. The Chargers had some, but not a ton, especially on the perimeter. So Gilmore, I think he's playing well. They need him to play even better, and that's probably not what he's capable of doing. He's capable of playing what he is, but you know what? Give him credit. He goes and makes the interception though to close out the game. So it's not bad at all. It's good. It's just that he was supposed to be the number 2 corner, and he's not. All right, Michael in Bowling Green, Kentucky. You're next.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. Hey, Players Lounge and Hanging with the Boys is 2 shows I used to not want to miss, but now this is the one I don't want to miss. I look forward to StoryLine.
Thank you so much. And I'll tell you this, I look forward to doing it. I mean, I really do. Not to be cheesy, corny, or whatever, but I enjoy it. I enjoy talking to you guys. I enjoy, getting your perspective, and it really helps me. It helps me kind of understand what the fan base is thinking, and they don't speak for everyone. But when you listen to a lot of calls like this, you kind of get a good idea of what the fans are thinking. So, and it helps me. It helps put out articles on our website too. So,
I think it helps the fans too to get better perspective.
Sure.
I've got two questions.
Go for it.
The first one is, if Dak Prescott had 8 interceptions right now and at least 1 fumble loss, what would they be doing to him? I mean, everybody, the fans.
Whose stat line did you just read?
That's Hurts.
Okay. Got it. He's got 8 interceptions?
He has 8 interceptions. He got 3 in one game, put him to 7,
Dang.
And then against the Dolphins, he got 1, put him at 8.
Yeah. Well, if 8 interceptions, that's higher than What would they be doing? Yeah, they would certainly they would be pointing that out. I mean, I would know that. I didn't know that about Hurts, but I would definitely know that, you know what I mean, if it was Dak. And the people in Philly and whoever would definitely know that Dak has 8 interceptions because it would be publicized. But, I mean, how many rushing touchdowns, how many first downs does he get there? I mean, he makes some plays too, and his team's 5-1, and they're really good. I mean, they're good. He's a good player. And so, I didn't think it was that many, honestly, but Dak, that's what happens. That's what happens. Do you have another question?
Yeah, the other is the 49ers have lost 2 straight. The Eagles lost, last week, and they both have really difficult schedules in the next 2 months. I believe the Cowboys can catch and pass both of them.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. I think, thanks for the call, Michael. And what I think is that this bye week in the last 2 weeks really has let everybody kind of know that, nobody's running away with anything. Nobody, just 2 weeks, 2 weeks. I mean, think about what you thought about Buffalo. All right. Nah, they've lost it a little bit here. Detroit. Oh, Detroit. Now, Lamar Jackson owned them. 49ers, same thing. Cowboys, a couple weeks before, I mean, what you thought about the Cowboys. I mean, everybody's got some really bad losses in there or surprising losses. And so it's still early. A lot of teams are 4-2, 5-2, 4-3, 3-4. I mean, they're all right there. And that's exciting. I mean, that's there for the taking. So yeah, the Cowboys can catch people. But Arizona, is Arizona 1-5? We know what the 1 is. So that right there should let everyone know that, the Cowboys, they haven't beaten anybody really great at all. I mean, I think the Chargers are decent. I mean, they're going to be okay. They're in the middle of the pack. New England, I don't know what New England is. I mean, I thought they were pretty bad, but of course they won the division game against Buffalo, and the Giants came, won. I mean, but they're not. They don't seem to be very good either. So the Cowboys really haven't beaten anybody that's good. The Jets are decent. Could beat the Eagles. So it's all there. I think the Cowboys have the ability to beat the best team in the league, whoever that is. They also seem to be able to lose to the worst team in the league, whoever that is. All right, let's go to Sebastian in Savannah, Georgia is our next call. Sebastian.
Yes, sir. Good morning. I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing good. Thank you.
You actually said right into my point perfectly. I have two things. First thing is Mike McCarthy. Second thing is front office big picture. The Eagles are moving. I'm noticing like they've been there before. Obviously, they've been to the Super Bowl recently. They're being very aggressive. I would love to see our front office be more aggressive towards the trade deadline, or just anything, just any way to acquire players to add to our already good defense and offense. And then that leads me to the Mike McCarthy thing. I'm a very big fan of Mike McCarthy's. I am, however, very surprised that a coach with his level of experience has struggled somewhat with play calling. I would not just the aspect of how the players actually execute, but I find that sometimes his play calling is a little off. And with someone with so much experience, especially sitting and watching Kellen for the last 3 years prior to taking over, I would expect him to be a little better at the play calling and the use and utilization of the players that he has on his team. But it's early in the season, like you said. I'll hang up and listen. You have a great day.
All right. Thank you. You have a good day as well. He's I'm sure like anything, I mean, you're kind of rusty at doing it. And not only that, I mean, even if you've called plays, for years and you don't take any break in doing that, you still got to kind of figure out how to apply it to the team that you have here. These guys, this offense, this, what this personnel can do. So I still think that they're adjusting, and he's said it a couple of times. And this will go back to your first question, I think, about the trade deadline and acquiring players. If there is a move that the Cowboys make, and I don't know that they will, but I could see it being a running back, because I've heard McCarthy say this on 2 occasions, that last year they had 2 number 1 running backs. He considered Pollard at 1 and then also Zeke. And they don't have that right now. They don't have 2 number 1s. So if you're going to do anything, I could see maybe, because that would be a trade you could make. You could get someone's running back, especially depending on their, contract and what they've got left. You could probably get a running back from somebody that has experience, somebody that's bigger. And you also don't need to really, you don't really need a lot of time in learning the system. For the most part, you can run the ball, you can get in there. That's why you see rookies kind of have success early. They have to understand the blitz pickup and that scheme and all that. But for the most part, they could step in. So if there is any move, I could see that being the case. We've talked about the first part. I think the Cowboys are more aggressive than they've been given credit for. They've made some moves. They didn't make any yesterday or today so far, but I don't think that they're sitting on their hands by any means. They know that they've got to do some, they got to do some things. All right, let's go to. I have a text question here from Wilson in Virginia Beach. What's the deal with Eric Scott? Is he going to be a next season player? So much talk of him prior to the season. Yeah, I mean, he played a lot in training camp, got a lot of snaps there. They didn't give a ton to Diggs. Diggs was out for a little bit at training camp, and then, Gilmore didn't practice all the time, and, I think Nashawn got injured. And so, and Kelvin Joseph wasn't practicing a whole lot. I mean, Eric Scott got a lot of reps. He got a lot of reps, and Jordan Lewis was out the whole time, and he did a really nice job. But right now, he's not in that mix of he's not better than the guys that they have. So, yeah, he is probably a next season type of player. He might have to play some this year, but, yeah, I think so. All right, Bob in Rio Grande Valley is our 10th caller. Bob, what's up?
How you doing, Nick?
How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I tell you what, congratulations to the Rangers. They beat my Astros, but I still got a Texas team and going to the World Series, and the Rangers fans certainly deserve it.
Well, thank you so much. You're a lot classier than I probably would have been on the other side of it. I would have been like, no, I don't have a Texas team. That's my team. No, it's a heated rivalry for sure, and it was very intense. And it was a very exciting series to think that the road team won every game. That's amazing.
To get to the point of my call, that let's say you had a 4-star restaurant that you had gone to for a number of years and you could depend on getting the same quality of food and the same dishes that you enjoyed. And all of a sudden the owner decides to shake up his kitchen staff and his cooks. Are you going to have the same thing? That's exactly what has happened to us this year with our coaching staff. And that's one reason why we've got this element of confusion that we've got and the lack of cohesion in this. That's my point. I think that Jerry sometimes outsmarts himself, and I think that the decision to just really shake up the coaching staff this year was one of his major mistakes. Now, that's all I got today, buddy. Have a good one.
You too. I'm a fan of analogies now. I like analogies. I don't know if I love this one because I don't think it was just all the cooks. I mean, in the kitchen, I don't. He added the cooks. It's not what you're saying. But Dan Quinn is still here. I mean, like, your defense is still pretty much intact. He had to make a decision. They had to make that decision with Kellen Moore, and I think Mike McCarthy feels like he doesn't have a lot of time here, and so he's going to do it his way. And he tried with the Kellen Moore situation. There were they just didn't agree in all situations, and so they had to make a change. And so by making a change, that's what they did. They added, they got rid of him, and he's calling the play. I mean, I think you see changes a lot in your coaching staff, but I don't think it was a huge overhaul. I really don't. I don't think this is that big of a drastic change. So let me see if I can get one more caller in before we go. Michael in Savannah, Georgia. Michael, what's up?
Hello. I'm calling because the last game that when they played the Chargers. I'm sorry. Hold on one second.
Yeah, let's turn it down.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes. The play calling and the time that elapsed when they played the Chargers. For being an experienced head coach, I'm concerned about the mistakes that have been taking place at that area of the game. And also, my second question is, do you think that the Cowboys should go out and try to get a experienced wide receiver, help open up the game, the offensive game with Gallup and the other receivers?
Okay. All right. Thanks for the call. Let me answer that part first. I don't think so. I don't think they're going to go get an experienced receiver. They've already done that. This is kind of, this is the bed that they've made at receiver. They've got everything that you would want. When you think about just creating a receiver class, you're like, all right, I need a star. I need a first-round pick, star-type receiver that can line up anywhere. Okay, cool, you have that. I need a veteran guy. I need a veteran, crafty, speed guy that's been around, that's had success. I got that guy. He's Brandon Cooks. I need another guy. I need another guy that can he can run good routes. He can go a little deep. He's been around. Michael Gallup. You want him to be better, but that's what you have. You have him. He's had some success. He's had close to a 1,000-yard season. He's a number 3 receiver, and he's pretty good there. I want a young guy that can play special teams, that's learning, developing. I got that guy in Jalen Tolbert. And I need another guy. How about a little shifty, smaller guy that can do reverses and all kinds of weird gadget type things? Got that guy in Turpin. You have the guys here at receiver. They just got to get blocked. They got to get on the same page, but you're not going to go add anyone else. As for the mistakes, it's concerning. It's pre-snap penalties. McCarthy has said it a lot. They got to fix the pre-snap penalties. Some of that is on the coaching. It's not just players just jumping off sides or lining up wrong. They do that. But sometimes the coaches aren't giving the players, they're 12 men on the field. That happened a couple times. You start calling too many timeouts in the third quarter, you're going to lose games because you can't stop the clock late in the game. So, yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem with the coaches. It's a problem with the players. They have to figure that out. All right, great show, guys. It was good being back kind of in the same format again. Got 11 calls. That's really good. Awesome on a Tuesday. Tomorrow we'll get kind of focused a little bit more on the Rams coming in, so it should be a lot of fun. All right, for Chris Beam, I am Nick Eatman. We will see you tomorrow on Cowboys Storyline.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?